So good afternoon. It's later on in the afternoon. It's already actually 3:30. I've been hammering away all day long. I got a bunch of hammered up feed made. That's, for things like pigs, chickens, stuff like that. I did get my 430 case going, so the roller's running right now. I'm making up a bunch of cattle feed and goat feed and bison feed and stuff like that. So as far as videoing goes, there's not going to be really any day-to-day stuff. I'll be catching up from the cold snap. I was down for about 5 days, so I got about 35 bags to make. So I figured if we're going to share any content, I was looking through my Facebook feed this morning, and this marketer guy for ag marketing, he had his ad on there or whatever, and it got me thinking about white collar ag. So what do I mean by white collar ag? That's your your grain marketers, your agronomists, your most of your salesmen, your grain brokers, and not even buyers. Like grain buyers are essential. And I'm kind of impartial to brokers. There are some good ones, there are some bad ones, but and then your boards, right? Your wheat commissions, pulse commissions, stuff like that. Can those people just go fly a kite? Like, all these people, they want to have skin in the game in ag, but they don't want to have any exposure to losing any of that skin, and it just drives me crazy. So with these grain marketers and stuff like that. I'm sure there's lots of farmers out there that are like, oh yeah, they saved my farm, they turned my farm around, and yeah, okay, great for you, whatever reason, whatever. I don't believe that they're the cure. I believe they're the cancer. This whole abstract, fabricated marketing system that they tried to create when they got, with this whole free market thing about all these different types of contracts and all this stuff. That's not the cure. That's the cancer, right? Farmers sell for basically only 3 reasons: cash flow, bin space, and if they're if they have a quality issue. So say you're going to have some tough grain that you don't want to store, you'll sell it early on. All this other nonsense about thinking that you're gonna win on this. I mean, I've heard countless stories of people getting locked into these basis contracts, futures contracts, and then there's a clause in there where you can roll it over if you just add another few dollars a ton or whatever, and by the time they end up hauling this stuff and it's pushed off because they're waiting for a better price or a delivery date or whatever, they're selling for less than the day price, or maybe even less than the contract price, because all the fees eat it up, and it's not that farmers are stupid or anything, but farmers have enough on their plate just trying to get this stuff out of the ground and get it to harvestability. I mean, that's where that should end. Farmers should be safeguarded against a somewhat of a decent price for their crop. And now I know people are going to say, well, you got expensive tractors, you got all this other stuff. You know what? Try to pull a 50-foot seed drill without it. And try to farm the amount of land now that we're expected to, with the aging farmers leaving and not a lot of youth willing to stay back on the farm. You're seeing that shift change now, which is kind of funny because, as everything else in the economy took a dive, ag was a shining star. So people with the ability to go back to the family farm, they kind of went, or they sought out a position in ag, a white-collar position. So, it's funny how that propped it up again. But back to you farmers they own a tremendous amount of stuff. But you know what? That 10, 12, 30,000 bushel grain bin does not offer us the same joy that your 2019 travel trailer does, or your side-by-side, or your boat, or what, your skidoo, or whatever you have. Most of the stuff that farmers own is so they can get the work done, and it's not so they can get the work done so they can do something else, something fun. It's so they can get the work done so they can move on to the next disastrous part of their day, right? So so that's why farmers own things. And you look around a lot of farms are doing with a bit less. They're maybe they're underpowered, they're under machined on some applications of their farm, because that stuff kept up with inflation. I heard a rumor the other day that the new John Deere combine used to be like $900,000, and now, because grain prices went up a little bit, now it's 1.3. I have the same argument for the minimum wage. I think people should be paid more, and I think the producer or the first person should be getting paid a little bit more. The problem is that monopoly hat wearing prick, he's going to take it. Right? He's going to know, he's going to go, look it, I know that guy's getting a little bit more money, so I'll take it. I'll take it by raising the price of the machine, I'll take it by raising the price of the food, I'll take it by raising the price of the rent, I'll take it by raising the price of the utilities, I'll take it. But that guy's going to get it. So raising these prices without any checks and balances on the other end, the elite end, that doesn't help, right? That doesn't help anybody. So more, and then another white collar industry. We got all these commissions and all these what's the word for them? Whatever, they're commissions and groups of people that are running around just doing piss all. They're printing glossy newsletters and they're firing those out. At up $10,000 of whatever. A shot to the producers. One that really stung me was actually Alberta Pulse. I think 2 years ago, they had their annual general meeting in Palm Springs, right? Alberta Pulse. What a crazy thing. They just spent the year printing out shit about shopping local and supporting your local farmer and blah, 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 blah. And then they all jet off to Palm Springs. Like, what the hell would have been wrong with going to Edmonton, Or maybe, heaven forbid, renting a little conference center somewhere in the province. What would have been wrong with shopping local then? These people, they have no credibility, and as far as I'm concerned, they have subpar advice to offer to the industry, right? They've managed to sniff it out, and get into these positions. A lot of times it's, positions that most people don't even want. They don't want the headache. They don't want to be, ridiculed by someone like me, for no reason, just going off on a rant because they're watching their roller roll. So they just want to be left alone. They want to be out. They want to be looking after their cows, their sheep, their pigs, their buffalo. They want to be raising their crops. They want to be left alone. They don't want to be in this. And these people that are, they have absolutely no shame. They're hypocritical as all hell. And it's just a mind-blowing thing for me. This this white-collar assault on ag. Like they're trying to stick their fingers into every little nook and cranny that they can. And even you find that they change the rules, right? That the grain marketing and contracting is one thing that I would be basically a third-generation farmer, second, depending on how you want to look at it. But it's already it's been insane. The transition from, when my dad used to be able to load up his 3-ton grain truck and just roll into town and get it unloaded. And like he said, the worst that they would ever tell him is, don't bring another one today. Geez, I mean, the last contract I signed with a big local elevator was, I believe it was a July delivery date. And yeah, they tried to push me off into September. So what the hell was the point of that contract? It was even in there. Like, that was their terms, not mine. July 1st, July 31st, right? Then they, oh, no, there's no way we can handle that, It was three fucking loads. It was 3 loads of grain, and it was #1 canola. That should have been the easiest thing to sell. But no, can't do that. Got to push that off, right? So, like I say, someone like me who expects to spend the next 40 years in ag, I kind of don't want to spend the next 40 years under the thumb of some white-collar jackass who is just messing up the system altogether. Now I'm not a bonehead who wants to stick doing things the way they were 40 years ago. I mean, I don't do that anywhere in my life. I've had arguments with people about, well, you can't get your kid an iPad, they're only 5. Well, you know what? I'm not going to get him a fax machine. I mean, there's no point in him knowing that. When he goes to school, I don't know what he's going to be faced with, but he may as well learn how to use an iPad. I think that's on every back-to-school list now, is get your kid a Chromebook or a MacBook or whatever, thing. So you'd be doing him a disservice by not rolling, getting with the times. So I have no issue with getting with the times and changing things for the better. My problem is what I see with white-collar ag is nothing's changing for the better. It's just a bunch of nonsense, just saying shit. And it doesn't even matter. Like, it could be right, could be wrong, I went to a thing about some new it wasn't even a fungicide. It was some shit you spray on the crop for whatever reason, It was just a sales speech. And the joke about it was, same with the, any ads in the back of, a men's magazine or something about hair growth or this growth or that growth and this magical thing, right? There's not even any checks and balances. There was a whole article in one of the newspapers about none of this shit is really proven, so it's a buyer beware thing, So you have all these white ag people, salesmen and reps and stuff, and they're just flying around with whatever company they're employed by, whatever shit they get fed at their little 6-week seminar, and they run out and they just push that, and they just try to shove that shit down your throat. And you know, like I say, a lot of us are busy. You know, we're busy. We're just trying to get this thing figured out to do it again next year, right? And back to the whole machinery thing. Anybody that's looking, there are very sustainable farms. That's undeniable. There are large farms, there are small farms, everywhere across the spectrum that are very sustainable. But on the average, you know, farmers are just, it's a labor of love. That's why they coined the term. They're doing it. It's a way to make money, you know. And actually, as far as you know, benefits to the economy, you look at any family farm that can sustain the family so they can work on the farm. You've taken that many people out. Our farm alone has taken 4 people out of the workforce. That's created 4 jobs in town that we don't have to fill. Okay, now no, we're not making tremendous amount of monies. I could have easily made more money staying directional drilling or drilling on a drilling rig, you know. And actually, maybe that's hit or miss now too with the whole, you know, dive and everything. But my point to that is, you know, when I was working out on the rigs, I was making a tremendous amount more money than I'm making now, right? But you're back here, and you know, with the ability to be back here, you can do your own maintenance, you can do a lot of these own things, you can do a little more shopping around, you can save your money that way, maybe make a wage, right? So, I guess that's my rant. White collar ag, can you just piss off for a little while? You know, you're just filling the air with noise, right? You're offering very little in the whole realm of progression. You're just saying stuff. You know, you're just saying stuff, and a lot of it's not helpful. You know, it's just, you know, a bunch more stuff that the farmer's got to digest, and he's got to sort through the dishonesty of it, you know, and then make his decision at the end of the day. You know, like if we can get back to the, you know, a similar, simpler way of doing things, you know, we could probably do better. You know, it's, you know, another thing is pushing for later season canolas and later season grains up here in the Peace Country. Our growing season is very limited. We lack heat units to grow anything that requires them, which is most anything, right? Corn is based off of heat units. We don't even get them. We don't get enough to even do that, right? You know, I mean, hopefully in the next 20 years, global warming will do its thing and I can grow orange trees. You know what? Then I'd be happy. You know, I'd switch this thing all over to growing oranges. But until then, you know, why don't we stop grasping at the straws, you know? Leave the science to the private industry that wants to fund it, you know? Let's stop asking farmers to fund this shit and to find out that it doesn't even work, you know? Like, let's put some stuff out there that does actually benefit, you know, that has yield increases, right? And maybe we could do a little bit better job of feeding the world, you know, because that's the whole thing, right? Oh, farmers feed the world, they feed the world. You know what? Yeah, we could do it. We could do a little bit better job if white collar would get out of the way, you know. You know, it's back to the marketing thing, right? There's grain stored all across the prairies and all across the grain producing sectors of the world. And the unfortunate thing, there's empty bellies all over the world. You figure that bullshit out. And you know why it is? It's not me keeping the bellies empty. It's that prick with the monocle and the monopoly hat that is ensuring, unless he gets his cut, that stuff won't move, right? So, I guess that's my rant. White collar ag. Not helpful.